Hello, so last week I set you the challenge of making a rock, paper, scissors game. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to give you a bit of a hint, a bit of a starter, to give you some ideas on how you might get going with this if you were struggling. So I've got a brand new Python file here that I'm just going to do all my programming in. So first thing I need to think about is my algorithm and what happens in a game of rock, paper, scissors. And so what happens is the two players choose whether they're going to play rock, paper, scissors after 3. So what I could do is I could do a little print that says something like 3 ... 2 ... 1 ... just to simulate the start of the game. Okay, and then what I want them to do is I want the player, the person using the computer, to choose rock, paper, or scissors. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to make a variable called player. That's it, player. Okay, and player is an input because I want them to type in their choice. So I'm going to say choose. Oh, needs to be in speech marks. Choose rock, paper, or scissors. Okay, so that gives them a really clear instruction and it will store their input. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a little bit of data checking, so data validation. I want to make sure that they have chosen either rock, paper, or scissors. And I also want to make sure that there isn't a problem with capital letters and things. So there's a couple of things that we're going to do now. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to say, actually I'll make a list. I'm going to make a list of rock, paper, scissors. Yeah, let's do that first. So let's call this RPS, for rock, paper, scissors. And it's going to be a list, so I square brackets. And I just need to make sure I've got. Now I'm going to put this in lowercase, and you'll see why in a minute. Rock, paper, and scissors. Okay. I'm going to put this list right at the top because I'm going to cut it and I'm going to put it right at the top. So I want it to be the first thing it makes. Okay, so we've got that list. Now what we can do is we can say, right, player, which is their input. So what they've typed in, rock, paper, or scissors. We're going to make it lowercase. So if they put any capitals in it, we're going to remove all the capitals. And we do that with player equals lower. Now let's just check. I need to check here what the correct command is for making everything lowercase. So what I need to do is I need to say the name of the string, the name of the variable, which is player, and then I do dot lower and then bracket bracket. So it should be player dot lower bracket bracket, and that should turn my player's choice into all lowercase. And then we're going to have an if. I'm going to say if player is in RPS, so is in my list, then we're going to go to the next part of our program. So I'm going to put a thing in here to check it. So if it's in our list, we're going to print good choice. We might get rid of that later, but it's a good check that we can have in. Okay, let's run this and see whether it works so far or if we've got any bugs that I haven't spotted. So I'm going to run module. We need to save it. Okay, we'll save it now. Okay, so there was one error that came in through when I tried to save that then, which was if player is in, is was not needed, so I just get rid of the is. So if player in RPS, then good choice. So let's have a look at that program running now. Okay, so now you can see on the right hand side my program's run. So let's put something in, but let's put it in with a capital letter and see if it recognises that it is in the list. So I'm going to put rock with a capital letter, and we'll see whether it still says, yeah, that's in the list. So I'm going to type R-O-C-K, press enter, it says good choice. Okay, let's just try it again, but this time I will put something that isn't in the list. So I'm going to do a test. So if I put cheese, which is not part of the game, and press enter, it says nothing. So that suggests to me that it hasn't worked. So I need to put in some sort of response. If you type in something that's not recognized, then we're going to put in a different response. So let's go back to my code and say, right, so if it's in the list, else, so if it's not in the list, else, then I would like you to say that is not, oh, I need to print this. That is, so print, brackets, that is not a valid choice. Please start again. Cool. Right, so now I've got the player chooses, it checks if it's a valid choice, and if not, it tells them to start again. Okay, then what I want to do is I want to get the computer to choose. So I'm going to go make a new variable, which is CPU, which is going to be my player's choice. So that's a variable. So the CPU equals, and I want to make a random choice from the rock, paper, scissors list. So I'm going to say I want to import the random module. So random, import random, which means I can then start using the commands from the random module. So I'd say I want to make a random choice. It's random dot choice from the list, which is called RPS. Got to be exactly the same, so it's capitals as well. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to print CPU, and I'm going to print player. So that should print the player's choice and the computer's choice, and we'll see whether this works properly or not. So let's run the module. It needs to say that's okay. So I'm going to choose, let's choose scissors this time. So I'll put the capital again just to see if it still works. Right, so that time it suggests that the computer chose scissors and I chose scissors. Let's just try it again, see if we get a different response. So if I will test it this time with, I'm just going to put rock. Okay, so this time it was computer chose paper, I chose rock. Brilliant. So we're getting to a point now where that's kind of the start of my game. You've got the computer's made a choice, the player's made a choice. Now this is where you're going to have to start comparing. Now if you look at the ones that I just ran there, this would be a draw. So what you could do is you could say, if the player's choice is equal to the computer's choice, if they're the same, if they're equal, then you could print that's a draw. Or in this case, the computer's choice was paper and my choice was rock. So you'd have to say if the player's choice was rock and the computer's choice was paper, then it's computer wins. So how do we do that in a program? So we'd say if CPU equals and that's a key word in Python, remember. So you say if CPU equals paper and player equals rock, then print CPU wins. Okay, guys, so there's a few different combinations because there are 3 options for each one. The draw is easy because you just see if they're equal. The other 2 are a little trickier. Okay, best of luck. I will post the next video in a few days' time, and hopefully you'll have had some success. Look after yourselves, guys. See you soon.